From coast to coast and border to border, you are joining us because we will put things in order. My name is Patrick Pac-Man Pérez. We are joined today by the wonderful Diana Gonzalez-Lehboub, and we have a very special guest who was with us just a while ago. You're not going to want to miss this because we have Franky Gonzalez in the house. Welcome to the Life and In Between podcast. Let's get this party started. And let me introduce to you our main host, Diana. Woo!
Well, thank you. Oh, so this is today's episode, as you mentioned, is incredibly special because we do have a special guest today, and not it, we he's a special guest and we'll have a really great topic. So this guest is someone that I am deeply proud of, and not only for his work, for the person he is, for his fierce writer. He's a fierce writer, bold truth teller. I mean, like he speaks from the heart and tells the truth. But I'm also happen to be proud of, and he happens to be my son, Franky Gonzalez, Duval Gonzalez. And so I'm so proud of him for all these reasons that I mentioned above. And so for those that who may not know him yet and did not hear our previous podcast that we had him on, I'm just going to do a little really quick reminder and let you know a little bit about Franky, who he is. Franky is a playwright, storyteller. He writes for also television and does film as well. So he is a writer that works in many different areas. But currently, right now, he is a renowned playwright. And he speaks from the heart, which needs to be seen and heard more often in today's time. I also wanted to let you know that he joined us, as mentioned before, and he talked about his journey as an artist, dealing with past traumas. He talked about his past work. And so we're going to dive a little bit more onto some of his works and talk about some really interesting stuff. So help me and welcome back, Franky. Franky Dugan. It's Franky Duval Gonzalez. Woo, woo, woo.
And because we're
Hey,
on video, they can see the swag. He's got
I
the.
know,
Yes,
right?
yeah, they're wearing this like cool hat. Okay, I wanted to wear a cap too, but unfortunately, I couldn't find any cool caps like these cool cats right here. Um, but I just wanted to kind of mention and talk about it, and actually, Patrick actually thought about these great conversational themes, rewriting the story in New America, like what is going on like today, in a time when cultural history is being reshaped, slavery being removed from museums, DEI initiatives being erased. Franky, how do you see your role as a playwright in these times right now?
It's really interesting when we're talking about how narratives and cultures reshape whenever you're looking throughout like history. Speaking as a playwright, we've never had money to begin with. There's never really been any broad easy way to become successful and a money making play artist in the business that I'm in. So there's always been a kind of animosity towards theater artists and playwrights in particular, but that's been historically the way of things since the time of Shakespeare and before. We've never been looked upon with the kind of respect that perhaps our art form we wish it would engender. So as an artist overall, it's not necessarily that um, times have changed or that things are different. It's just that things are a little bit more, to me, openly hostile and in a sense more honest about the fact that I now see who I am in this entire web, in this fabric. And the rewriting of history, the removal of things like DEI and everything, um, in certain circles, in certain intellectual circles, there was always the conversation of, well, this is just tolerance. And I think that that's the thing that exists, is that we never look toward being accepted fully and wholly as we are. We have always settled for tolerance. And the revocation of that shows that DEI, any of those things, the removing of history or the downplaying of historical fact, um, showed that these were just token efforts and not sincere changes systemically. It's not going to happen at all. It was simply a marginal effort that is no longer being entertained by the current powers that be. But it's never truly changed at all to me. It's always been an uneasy, like, well, while the getting's good, get what you can, or while you're given the opportunity to tell your story, and wait for the moment that, okay, well, they're just going to take it away. Everything is always about give and take whenever you are living in a scenario, a situation where you're depending on a patron. When you're a marginalized individual, um, of any stripe, it doesn't matter, an artist or anything like that, and you are dependent on a majority or a group of individuals or a state system, or a federal system that grants you privileges that are not implicitly acknowledged as yours, you will always be living in a certain amount of fear, no matter how quote unquote good it is, or no matter how much anyone's acknowledging anything. It's kind of like a bad boyfriend. Bad boyfriend might say, "Hey, I changed. Look, I'm acknowledging it. I done wrong. I did bad. Da, 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 da. You know, take me back. Don't go." And you get back with them, and you know what? Hey, they're actually doing pretty good. They're making efforts. Yeah, sure, they're not perfect, but they're making efforts until they fall off, and then they right back to where they were. It's similar to that. That is what any marginalized community, and this goes beyond um, the question of race. This is also in terms of people of their gender expression. This is people in terms of their sexuality. So many different backgrounds, religions, faiths, all of that. Um, that this has happened to. And so, as a theater artist in general, it's much the same. There wasn't any money anyway. Now, whatever little money that was there is just not going to be there. And more people are afraid to program brand new plays, and they're going to stick to their old chestnuts like Shakespeare and A Christmas Carol, and that's fine. For me as a human being, what I'm seeing is something that it's just, it's something that you always suspect whenever you're going into certain spots, whenever you're going into certain locations, whenever you're going into certain spaces, that okay, now I know what it's always been. I know what I was. I know who I am to you. And when you come back, when this is all hey, we're re-acknowledging this, I'm going to be a little bit more aware of how this could go wrong, and I'm going to be more prepared for the times that it does go wrong, because it will inevitably go wrong. Ebbs and flows. These are shifting tides that happen, and we see it throughout history. You know, Massive gains were made post Civil War, and then they set up Jim Crow. You know, Jim Crow was eventually abolished and destroyed, and they eventually have repealed most of it and gutted most of the Civil Rights Act in the 2000s. The thing is like you make progress, and then you lose some ground, but you always march forward. The thing to me that is important is that you can erase as much history as you want. Fine. History at the end of the day is just the interpretation of the victor. It's just the interpretation of the majority of those who hold power. It is never the actual telling of the truth. It is simply an analysis of how we got to where we are. And if you want to live in a world where you go into delusion and say that this didn't happen, that's fine. You can do that. It is incumbent upon us, those who live in the margins, those who are marginalized, those who are coming from that are historically underrepresented or repressed, to continue to tell the truthful stories. I remember the rallying cry for the queer community in the late 70s. Where is the outrage? Where is the outrage? And to maintain that outrage in order to be able to keep that fire going, it is up to us to find that outrage. And a lot of people mistake anger for a very negative emotion. I don't think it's a negative emotion particularly. Um, if you let it consume you, it is. But anger is the violation of what you believe is right in the world, and you demanding that it be set right. Anger is something that we should embrace and that we should harness and use as fuel to be able to get us to that next step where we come to a better tomorrow. Inevitably, a better tomorrow is waiting. Inevitably, it is. This is not one of those things where it's like, oh no, this is always going to be. No, yes, life will always be cruel. Life will always be difficult. Life will always have its issues, but better is waiting. The reason that I know better is waiting is because we're still having kids.
Mhm.
You know, um, with having kids, you have to choose hope. You have to choose.
Oh, froze
Think,
there.
okay.
And
I think,
hopefully it kicks back in here. And one thing that I keep thinking of when Frankie's saying all this, it's there's a line in that Hamilton. It's kind of a reimagining of our forefathers, but it was always when the world was turned upside down, and that's kind of what we need. Is that it's always a band-aid. The 1960s civil rights. Here's a band-aid, here's a band-aid, and it's like, just quit cutting us. Oh, we can't quit cutting you, but here's a really nice band-aid, here's a thicker band-aid. It's like, well, just quit cutting us. No, we can't do that. And so it needs to be a dismantling of the pretty much the white power that's always dictating, like you said, who's writing the history. Well, the conquerors, the white power.
yeah.
Who's deeming what is allowable now in the museums and schools. It's the white power, which just makes no sense. It's like, one thing I was asking Rachel this morning, as we were discussing some things and kind of in the sphere, but it was, how can people live with that cognitive dissonance? Like, what's right, what's wrong, but what's always been, and you continue, like you said earlier, you continue to make excuses for the boyfriend that keeps abusing you, and you just keep going back and you keep going back. I'm going to change. It's going to be better. And it's like, it doesn't change. It just takes on a different form, and it's still the same abuse and the wielding of power. And it's maddening. Like, use your brain, people. Use your brain.
Yes. But those are really some great valid points. And while we wait for Frankie to come back on board, it looks like there's a little bit of connection issues here. Um, I love the fact that you both mentioned, and you tapped on into this, that history is being written in that one point of view, and it's up to those that are in the marginalized groups to kind of speak up and talk about it and mention it. And like this podcast, or anyway within our community, whether it's through painting, through writings, whether it's through teaching our children, the future generations. And I think that's one way. Welcome back, Frankie. Yeah,
He's back.
he's
And that,
back.
it's like,
Hey,
your
sorry
story
about that.
matters.
Yeah, getting censored by the internet right there. It stopped me.
The man is trying to silence you.
Right? The machine is trying to stop me. Oh no.
Trying to stop you. And
Hmm.
let me ask this, like, how do you think we, as the marginalized, how can we present our story, not just as a story of defiance, but as a story of like creating change? Whether it's through the way we carry ourselves, the way we speak. I mean, what do you think?
I think that the best way to be able to tell our story is to not have it be dependent on the powers that be to give it platform. I
Oh,
think that
say it again. Say that again. Oh,
yeah, we don't need the powers that be to give us a platform. We don't need to necessarily participate in the structures that they've created, that they mark as the thing that makes you successful or not. You don't need to have the biggest stage. You don't need to have the best movie set. You don't need to have the best radio equipment. You don't need to have much anything at all, really. You just need to tell your story, and it just needs to reach the people that it needs to reach. Um, Unfortunately, many visionary artists don't get rewarded by the powers that be, and they're more remembered after they've passed, after they've gone, and they're more studied as um, curiosities of history and of art, and they're revered post-mortem. But really, if we cannot achieve lasting change, we cannot achieve anything that is major and seismic in terms of being able to tell our unvarnished story if it has to pass through the filter of gatekeepers, of those who say, hey, that's a little too edgy. Hey, that's a little too this. Hey, that's a little too real. Hey, we're going to have to put these standards on there. And it exists not just in the people that we work with in the arts. It exists on the algorithms. You can't say certain words or you get demonetized. You can't say certain things or you get you're going to be shadow banned. You can't do certain da 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 da, and it keeps going and going and going. And there's so many rules that water down the truth of what you're saying, and it's always done in the name of some vague thing like protect the kids, or we can't do this, we can't do that because we need to respect certain sensitivities. Truth is truth regardless. But the thing is like, when people say the revolution will be televised, no, it won't be. Not when they own the television, not when they own the airwaves, not when they own the platforms. It can't possibly be. The only way that it can go is through connection. In this world of increasing, digitization, we sometimes forget that we are still human beings and we are in a community with each other. The internet serves to broaden community if we use it as such, as a tool to be able to broaden community. Or it can end up being the thing that increases our isolation from each other and makes us feel a little bit more alone. The choice is ultimately ours.
So good, so good. I mean, man,
Yes, it's really
living
deep. And
that filter. That I mean, that's what it is. It's everything now is putting this filter here, and like we're gonna dictate. I mean, it's scary. NPR was doing a whole story this morning on pretty much like 1984. You know how a lot of the history
Mhm,
is just getting pushed to the side. We want to tell it like it was great,
mhm,
and the one I guess the the creator of the project 2025 was speaking, and he was saying we want to make it great
mhm.
like back when Lincoln was in office. You know, those patriotism. It's like you do know what happened in that era with Lincoln. I mean, we
Right,
think that the
right.
Civil War ended. I think it just kind of went underground. I mean, there was never any,
Yeah.
you know, dismantling of the ideology behind the South. It just went underground. And like
Yeah.
you said, the Jim Crow laws, well, we can have the separate but equal, which to this day here in Austin, you know, East Austin, right by 35, this is where all the black and brown schools are. West Side, that's the white schools. It's still here. We're
Mhm.
just living a modern day civil war, a cold civil
Mhm.
war.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, the thing about leaning on patriotism as a way to try to create social cohesion again is you hug the flag when you realize the government cannot provide much anymore, when you can no longer do um, what it is that you've promised in your implicit social contract with your people. So what you do is you lean on hyper patriotism, and anyone who brings up anything that is actually a good point about the inefficiencies of government, it's like, well, why do you hate us so much? Why do you hate our ways? If you don't like it, you can just go. Why don't you go back to where you came from? All of those things exist because they serve as a really, really great ruse and a smokescreen to avoiding accountability for your failures. We are giving tax cuts to billionaires, and we are taking Medicaid from seniors. We gutted the VA. They wrapped themselves and draped themselves in the flag and said we love our veterans while taking away VA benefits. That is the reality. And if you question them, you're not a patriot. You never truly loved this country. We're getting rid of inefficiencies. We're not gutting anything. No, what they're doing is they're taking away certain government programs in order to make sure that their tax cuts to those who are most well off will be able to receive them. And the thing is like patriotism is not inherently bad, but there is a difference between patriotism and propaganda. There is a
Mhm.
difference between what it is that happened and what it is that we tell ourselves in order to make ourselves feel better.
Mhm.
A lot of the rhetoric is, it's not bad to feel as though you're American, to be proud to be American. It's not bad to be proud to be ethnically white. It's not bad to be someone who loves this country. No one said that. No one said that. This is like having an argument with someone where they say their quiet part out loud, and they're just like, "Oh, so I guess I was never any good at all, huh?" It's like no one said you weren't any good. No, you're saying that. Why are you saying this? It's as a way to shut down the arguments. It's as a way to deflect responsibility. Um, Patriotism is just that. Hyper patriotism, hyper nationalism is just that. In order to justify some of the horrible things that you're going to be doing, you lean on hyper nationalism, you lean on patriotism. And then those who speak out in dissent, oftentimes they come from marginalized communities. Well, it becomes very easy to other them all over again and be like, well, you would expect them to say that, wouldn't you? They've never really been aligned with us. They're invading us. They're doing this. They were replacing us. Maybe we should start getting rid of them. Maybe we need to question whether or not they really are American like we are. It will always be the same. The playbook is not different. It has always been that way throughout history. Like you study it, you'll see it in countries across Asia, Europe, South America, Central America, the Caribbean. Always question the other, drape yourself in the flag because you really can't do much for the people because you're broke. That's what it comes down to. You're broke, or your obligations are going somewhere else because you're a debtor nation. This happens a lot to formerly colonized countries, and make no mistake, we are in a sense colonized as a nation. We might be the most powerful nation on earth, but we are economically colonized by a bunch of these different corporate interests who don't see necessarily borders, who don't necessarily see nations. They just see units. They just see money,
Profits.
and that's it. That's all we are, which is fine. The thing that I've recently come to conclude is that, we have modern problems. And the reason that we have modern problems is that we're leaning on old solutions to
Mm.
solve our modern problems. Um, we have technology that has increased our productivity in such a way that it feels like growth can be endless, but we are now reaching the end point of what our growth can be. You can only fire so many people to automation before you realize, hey, there's no one buying the products that I'm making through automation. You can only do so much before finally it's just like, oh, I think it's run out of steam because how many more people can I truly keep on the absolute lowest rungs before they're no longer even buying groceries anymore? Um, and the reason for everything is like we have made money the central thing. We are in the 21st century still using a system from the 1700s, from the 1600s, from the 1500s. We're trying to use mercantile systems of economics in order to solve modern problems in which work and labor are slowly being eroded because we've gone completely automation.
Mm.
We've gone completely to the point that humans have very little to actually do in many factories. Humans have very little to do in areas of technical writing now with the rise of AI. Artists are slowly getting whittled away. So, what is the solution to a world where everyone is essentially going to be unemployed, but we're still going to be living under a structure of money? you know, um, I don't know that answer. I have no idea. I don't think it's necessarily communism as envisioned by Marx, but what I do know is that the best that we can do as of right now is be there for those who matter, is to create our art as fearlessly as possible, and to love others as we would love ourselves.
Which
Um,
you would think people would take, and they don't. That's only because I'm so enmeshed right now in a lot of church life, and
mhm.
to see that, like you say, love your neighbor as yourself, and that's the last thing.
Oh yeah.
And I love the way Rachel had said it. It's that people are loyal to a broken system.
Hmm.
And there's really, I mean, if you think about it, there's no way that you can justify things, but nope, nope, that's the way it is. It says
Hmm.
here, or this is the way it's always been done. It's like, are you kidding me? It's nerve
Hmm.
wracking.
Yeah. I mean, but it, there is a fear of what happens if I lose my place in life. I played this game and I actually got pretty lucky and I'm doing well. And you're asking for it to change because other people are not doing well, but I did well. So why should I have to change? And that's the thing is like what is getting proposed essentially is a changing of the system that will depower other people. You can't
Mhm.
get someone to give up a lifestyle that um, that they've they've attained unless it's forcibly done, by things like bankruptcy or, you made a bad investment or a catastrophic accident that forces you to downgrade on your life. If it's very difficult for you to downgrade on your life, I imagine that for the extremely powerful, the extremely wealthy, it is a very difficult thing to get them to give up on what it is that they have achieved so far. They won the game. They're winning the game constantly. Every single day that passes, they're winning. So why should they give it up? Um, the thing is that that's the thing to remember for me. It's all a game. um History, things like that is all just a mark of us consenting to something being that way. We do not have to buy the narrative that they give us if we don't want to buy the narrative that they give us. We do not have to consent. Everything, the rule and power is only given by the consent of the governed. We can do anything that we would like otherwise. If we no longer consent to it, we can make something different and we can create something undeniable. And oftentimes that leads, unfortunately, to violence. I don't want or advocate for violence. That leads to bloody revolution, but I think that there is a revolution of love and of peace that can be achieved. But the thing is that when you're doing that, you are still going to have casualties because those who are in power will show their force and they will try to do what they can to stop even the most non-violent and most peaceful of revolutions from happening. What we have to ask ourselves is, are we ready for that time? Are we ready for perhaps a moment in which we ourselves, who still in our marginalization, might be asked to give more before things can get better for our future generations? We talk a lot about wanting to do it for our future generations, and yet we can't deny that there's a little selfish element to everything. We want success. I want to be able to achieve. I want to be able to have this. I want to finally be able to break the cycle. And sometimes we might have to settle for the fact that I didn't break the cycle, but man, I chipped that wheel as it was spinning.
Mm.
Hopefully the next generation has it. We have to decenter ourselves in our narrative of personal success, of individual success, and we have to remember that we're part of a larger fabric. It's our family, it's our community, it's our society. As it grows and grows, if we are only prioritizing ourselves, we get what we have now, and any kind of change will just replace it with a new status quo. One dictatorship will lead to another dictatorship. It'll just swing in the other direction where hey, it might be great for us now if that new dictatorship comes, but it is still a dictatorship. And ultimately, when they talk about things like being replaced, being destroyed, losing their jobs, all this stuff, what they're saying is, I am afraid, reading in between their lines, I am afraid that what I did to them, they're going to do to me. And I
Yeah.
need to stop that from happening. And I need to keep this from happening with whatever way I can. If I got to rewrite history, if I've got to change everything, I've got to break the economy even,
Stop
because
the momentum. Stop the
yeah,
momentum.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
Hispanics are the fastest growing population. I think
Hmm.
white American, WASP, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant is declining, because the birth rates are just not going up.
Mm.
So there's a shift
Hmm.
coming, and who's getting pulled out of cars and beat right now because they're brown and they're criminals and rapists, and
Hmm.
I mean it's sick. It's like you don't even think that this is possible, and we're just seeing it only because I watch it on screen. It's like, oh, that's happening in LA, not here in Austin.
Yeah,
But
but it is
it's
happening.
yeah, it's
It
systemic.
is.
It's
Yeah,
systemic, and
it's systemic. But the thing is it's coming from fear. And I
mm,
think the thing is that we have to try to strive for a society in which that fear doesn't exist. Um, I have
mm,
always tried to find what what is being said underneath what is being said. When someone is angry at me and it's for no reason. I try to figure out, okay, well, what's actually happening? What happened in your day? What's going on? What is the thing that is what is that? What's the note within the note? Whenever I deal with some Hollywood execs and I send them something, they're like, I didn't like it. Okay, what didn't you like? Which I just didn't like it. Fix it. It's like, okay, what is the note within the note?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that they're saying? What is it that they did not like? Usually, if they don't know what it is, if it's a vibes thing, oh, it's a tone thing. Okay, let's figure out if we can fix this. Now, there's some problems that they're not going to be fixable. They're just not going to be fixable. It's not going to happen. Acknowledging a kind of like racial hierarchy is not sustainable. It's not tenable. And it's how you end up with the Habsburgs, a horrific family that ended up collapsing in on itself from all of its trying to keep the blood pure. You know, it's not great. Um, but what we can do is we can try to say, look, it's not going to happen that way. um it's not going to play out the way that you're afraid of doing, and what that requires is, unfortunately, for the marginalized to make some of the biggest sacrifices of all and be like, look, revenge is real nice, but that's not me. That's not who I'm going to be. And that's asking a lot, because there's some people who very deservedly might really want some good old fashioned revenge. But it's there has to be guarantees that these that the to break this cycle of hatred, we're going to have to abandon some grievances as well. And what grievances those are, I don't know. That's not for me to decide. That's for the community to figure out and come together and say, yeah, okay, well, we're going to have to give up this in order to get a better tomorrow, a better, happier future. Um, but ultimately, they can't erase they can't erase truth. They can try to change what truth is. They can try to change what objectivity is. They can't erase it. They can't. It's not possible to do so. Um, because there'll always be someone telling that story. You know, there'll always be someone telling, hey, this is what actually happened. Hey, this is what. No matter how you try to keep something secret, the truth will always come out. It's someone coming out of the well, and it's just like, oh shoot, I didn't even realize. There'll always be someone. There'll always be a survivor. There'll always be someone telling the story. There's no thing that escapes without it having been revealed or told, no matter how much you try to hide it. So go ahead, Smithsonian, do what you got to. Go ahead, NEA, cut out everything, every single grant, every single program. Go on, try to dismantle companies, your DEI thing. Go on, try to take away our access to what few resources we have. Go on, try to take all these things. Have fun, enjoy it. We've been through this before. The thing is that it is a lot less of an impact for those of us who are closer to the ground when we fall than it is for the very
Indeed.
top of
Mm.
buildings who have to deal with the collapse when it inevitably comes.
Yeah.
Nothing
And
lasts
that's
forever.
the thing that you had said earlier, that there's the time for the revolution of violence. It seems now, because I look at the 60s, 70s, that was the violence. That was a protest, linking of arms, and it was violence against the marginalized. But now it's almost like it needs to be a revolution of involvement, a revolution of the little Mexican or the black and brown people seeking office,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where the change happens, to push back and, to see, politicians going at it, because you got somebody who represents the people versus the profits of the corporate oligarchy going at it. And it's like, that's what we need, is people who will get involved, people who will stand up and share their story. That's the thing, is that we think that the powers that be have our interests, but their lived reality is so vastly different. I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's the same people that are, oh, we're gonna help the world, and you know
Mm-hmm.
go on mission trips and help people, that instead of acknowledging them and helping them up, they just went, oh,
Right.
pat on the head. I mean, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird.
It's the band-aid. It's a band-aid and not medicine.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that worries me about participating in the political process itself is that politics is nothing but compromises.
Mm.
Politics is nothing but having to give up one thing in order to get another. And inevitably, what's going to end up happening is the community that uplifted you will turn on you to some degree because of the compromises that you had to make. What would be required in order to make a massive change, and this is something that I think that the particularly the right wing of the coalition has figured out, is that no, it has to be a massive wave. It can't be just one victory. It can't be just one seat, because that seat will get drowned out by the other voices. It has to be, we primaried them, we got rid of them, and we put up 50 of us into this, and now we are practically our own third party. Even though we fly the elephant banner. It has to be a massive amount of coalition that is created, which is something that, as you read articles and everything, the Dems fear. The Dems fear a whole bunch of their people getting primaried suddenly, and then getting moved out, and the party going even further left, and then losing even more powers. How they view things will happen. Um, because like one person coming in, they're eventually going to get bought, or they're eventually going to have to make compromises to get some token little thing going. It will happen. It's just who is going to get them. And whenever you're going into politics, you have to ask yourself, well, what am I going to sell out for? Because end of the day, it's not enough money just to be a politician by itself. You got to get some patrons. You got to get some people backing you. And if you're going to be able to launch a campaign where you get reelected, you need money. You need airwaves. You need all these things. And eventually you're going to have to create strange bedfellows, no matter who it is, unless it's such a massive, titanic shift that a whole bunch of them come in the way that the Tea Party came in back in the mid 2000s. That's really what has to happen in order to cause a political shifting, and a political like pulling toward one ideological direction or another. I think the best thing to do is, we have our communities, we have ourselves. When the saying, we're all we got, it truly does, it really is that, we're all we got. I know that if things go real wrong, I have a community that I can lean on, because I've given to my community and they'll give back to me. Um, Sometimes they won't lie. Sometimes it's not, they're not able to help because they're going through it too. They're going through the struggle, but usually we have each other's backs. And in those times, what we need to do is what we need to do. We need to fight isolation, and we need to find, if our government will not give to us what is owed to us, or if our government will not help us in this time of crisis, we can help each other. We can be there for one another. We can see what we can do to help alleviate the burden a little bit more. And that's why poor communities seem to care less and less about the economy, because it's like, well, we're not in that game. No, it's not for us. Um, we have to lean on each other. We'll survive together. That's the best way to go. We will survive together. Um, all oligarchies die. All dictatorships collapse in on their own excess. All all mobsters, all wrongdoers who seek to hurt people for their own gain, they never come to a happy end. It might take forever because spite doesn't die very easily, but it will end, and we'll be there. We will be there. We will continue to be there. It's inevitable. We are simply an inevitability that they're trying to put off as long as possible. They can do whatever legal maneuvering they want, but in the same way that they don't acknowledge norms, we don't have to either. I think that's the one great lesson that we can take from them, is like, well, if they don't want to acknowledge norms, why do we have to acknowledge norms?
Yeah.
They can say, yeah, well, you know what, legally speaking, it's been, well, we don't care. This is
Right.
what it is now.
Change the rules, we'll change the
Um,
rules. Play
yeah,
by different
exactly.
rules that we make, and they don't let
Exactly.
us
You
fall.
live your life. Yeah. Go on, live in that world where you think you can't do, well, you technically have to do this and that and that. No, no. Why? Um, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But I lean on hope. Um, I think hope is dangerous when it's blind optimism. I think that we can look at things with a critical eye and say, yeah, it's pretty bad. You're gonna sugarcoat it. It's pretty bad, but ultimately, I wouldn't have had a kid if I didn't think that life had beauty yet to show me and beauty yet to show him. I would not be a father or a husband if I didn't think it was worth continuing on with the human community and having people with me. If it was so hopeless, I would probably just shut myself in and wait for the end. It's not so hopeless yet. It's not so hopeless that we're not isolating ourselves from each other and basically mourning until we die. No, there is still tomorrow and the next day, and we can embrace it. It can be beautiful. It will be
Writing the
beautiful.
story. Keep writing the story, putting the
Yes.
narrative
Exactly.
where we are. Yep.
Yep.
I'll
We'll
let
make
you
it.
jump into Deanna. The
Yeah, no, I mean, I love the conversation that this is going, and I'm glad that you're really being candid and honest and expressing these thoughts and really breaking it down for our listeners. Because for some people, it's not something that comes, they don't think about it sometimes deeply, or some that do, but kind of sharing your thoughts, that means a lot. I kind of wanted to just kind of shift just a little bit and going back to like I wanted to do something a little bit different.
Hmm.
Um, uh, since you are a writer,
Hmm.
and I kind of wanted to do maybe like a fireside read, if you don't
Hmm.
mind.
Sure.
If you have something, and it could be something sticking to what we were talking about, or maybe something different, something hopeful. Can you read something powerful, an excerpt of something current, or maybe an upcoming work that you're working on that you can share with our listeners?
Sure. Sure. Let me see right here. Um this one is pulling it up right now. This is from a play that I wrote called That Must Be the Entrance to Heaven. Um and it's a boxing play. And the play itself is about four boxers who all need the world title for different reasons. And because they all need the world title for different reasons, they have four stories that they're telling. One of them is um, an undocumented immigrant whose mother died getting him across the border, and he needs this visa. And in order to get the visa, he needs a world title because if he gets deported, then what did his mom die for? Another one is a young Mexican American whose brother was a legendary champion, and um, everything he does is compared to his brother, and he just wants to escape his brother's shadow, and he wants to be his own man, and not just compared always to his brother. The third boxer is a Cuban boxer who he defected from Cuba and he left everything behind. He can't go back home. His father won't speak to him because he betrayed the revolution. And for him at 40 years old, if he doesn't get the world title, then what did he do it all for? What did he turn his back on his country for? Lose his father's respect for? He has to win, but he's 40. And for athletes, that's ancient. That's very old. Um, the final boxer is one that's actually a bit of a composite of my own life. He is a New Yorican boxer who has a wife and kid, and he never quite made it. He was never very good at boxing, but he's always dreamed of it. And it's this monologue was written at a very dark time in my life. I had mounted up a show, and it utterly failed. When I say utterly failed, I mean we were at times playing to an audience of only one person that came out to see the show. Um, we made no money, and I only had something like $17 left in my account at the end of it. And my son was 6 months old, and formula is 40 something dollars with only $17 left in my account. My wife and I were counting pennies, trying to hope that we get to that 40 something dollars. And that was the first time that my wife asked me, is this theater stuff really worth it? Is this really a worthwhile pursuit? And we had the money. We were able to get the money together. And she was like, "This is humiliating. Going with pennies, paying with pennies, for baby formula." And I said, "Well, I'll go do it." And said, "No, you stay with your son, and stay with your son and think about all of this." And she went to Walmart or wherever it is she went to get the formula. And I stayed with this little baby in the crib. He was maybe 6 months old. This would have been May May or June, that this would have happened. 6 months old, and I started talking to him in the crib. And when I was talking to him in the crib, I realized that I was probably saying the greatest monologue that I was ever going to say in my life, and that this is probably going to be part of the best play that I'll ever write. And I quickly wrote down as much of it as I could remember what I said to my son, and I changed it for this boxing play. And it is the center of the boxing play, and it's the center of everything that I do. And I, as an artist, I realized from that night who it is that I write for and who gives me the strength to be an artist, and why I am an artist at all. There's a lot of swearing, so just content warning. It's but this is from round seven, and that must be the entrance to heaven. Um, the setting is a crib in the middle of the ring. Juan, the boxer, steps into the ring and approaches the crib. Hey, you awake? Hey, look at you. But you still doing up? You gotta sleep, chiquitín. That's how you get strong. And you gotta be strong. Why is that? Because this life ain't easy. It's always there trying to fuck you up. Ah, fuck. I said curse words. My bad. Shit. I mean, okay. Uh, I'm not good at this. Your mom, your mom thinks we don't know each other too well. And she's always, she wants what's best. I know that. But like, I'm not good with words, right? So what do I say to you? I mean, do you even understand me? Or are these just like some noises to you? You know my name, right? And I know your name. Now what? Oh, you know what your papi does for money? I'm a boxer. That means I fight people. You want to see? That's how I box. Eh? Eh?
Hmm.
Yo, why are you so quiet with me, man? Come on, Chiquitín, talk to me. Please. Oh, I'm sorry. That what you want to hear? I'm sorry, okay? Perdóname. Your mom's right. I don't I don't know you. And you don't know me. I'm asking you to talk to me, but you shouldn't talk to no strangers, even if that stranger is your dad. Fuck. Look, I know you've been hearing me and mommy. We've been fighting, not like where I hit her like I do the guys in the ring. But we've been fighting with our words. If you want the truth, I prefer the fights with punches than I do the fights con palabras. Your mom always wins those. You're gonna get used to that if you ever get a wife. But I don't like word fights. I don't like them because words hurt worse than any punch, mijo. Especially when those words are truth. And when your mommy is spitting truth, I start saying things that aren't truth, and I try to hurt her with my words, and then we both end up hurt. And then when I met your mother, right? Oh my God, beautiful, intelligent. She was, no, she is special. And your papi was the luckiest man. But you see, your papi, he ain't a good man. It's true. I won your mommy's heart under what they call false pretenses. That's a fancy word for I lied to her. I didn't mean to. Don't get it twisted. But someone that's special, someone that's beautiful, someone that's the whole world like your mommy is, she deserves a man who can give her what she deserves. So that's what I told her. I told her that I get us out of this shit. I told her I was going to bring her belts and cash and houses, and I wanted to keep that promise. I swear to God, strike me down, kill me now. I wanted to give her all that, but like I kept losing and losing and losing and losing and losing and losing and losing until my promises turned into lies. But your mommy, she kept encouraging me. She'd say I'd win the next time. She kept believing the promises that I knew I'd never deliver, but she believed, she had to have faith that she made the right choice picking me to be her husband. And then you were born, and her encouraging turned into questions about the bills and whether I needed to maybe rethink what I was doing. It turned into complaining about roaches and the rent and the hours she worked, into questions turned into word fights. Yo, please understand me, man. I ain't saying this is on you. Weak men who can't face the truth, those are the ones who blame little babies for their failures. And I ain't weak like that to put the fact that I can't accomplish shit on my little boy. No. But what they're going to tell you, where if you work hard and if you give it your all, that you'll live your dreams, that shit's not true. That's for television. And for people who take advantage of your hopes with the lie that you'll make it if you keep working hard. But what's life without dreams, hijo? What's the point if you don't try to beat the odds and get good with the world? Why can't I hope for a better tomorrow? Because I tried, Papito. I tried to make those words true. I wanted to be world champ since I was 5, and maybe I should do something else in life. Maybe I should quit and get a real job and stop pretending I'll ever win a belt, but I can't let it go, man. I can't leave behind the dream that kept me going all these years. I don't know how to do anything else, and if I'm being real, man, I love it. I fucking love this shit too much to let it go. Now, I'd always hoped that I'd be more than a spick who ruined a woman's life with his stupid, impossible hope. Unfortunately, I ain't shit. I never been shit. Maybe some people got no right to dream. And I can accept that for myself. I did my best, and my best will never be good enough. But that's not what your mom needs. That's not what you signed up for. I know that mom's breaking her back keeping this shit together, and I ain't kept up my end. I promised her world titles and living good. I promised I'd get us the fuck out of here. I promised you both the sunrise, and I've been breaking those promises. Well, I'm gonna fix that. In and out of the ring. And the hardest fucking punchers can't knock out your old man. I only been knocked out twice. When I laid my eyes on your mom, and when I held you for the first time.
Mm.
That kind of shit deserves a reward, right? After all, you both did what no other man can. So that's it. That's your father. A loser who ain't worth shit. But I got a plan, little man. You may never have a dad who will be called a champion, but I'm getting you and your mommy what you both deserve. You'll both get the dawn. I'm going to deliver on that, no matter what it takes. You want to know how? I'm going to tell you a secret for your ears only. That's the end of the scene there.
Whoa!
Amazing. Woo.
Cliffhanger. I mean,
Yeah,
so many
he
artists could find themselves in that conversation, in that monologue. I mean, there's so much that just from the father, the heart of a father, to the provider, to mom,
yeah,
it's, oh, wow.
yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, yeah, and his whole plan is heartbreaking at the very end of the play, where it's just like, oh no, oh, why would he do that?
Oh, give us a tidbit.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, it's my favorite play for a reason, and it's the play that I put my heart and soul into, and it's won me awards and everything. But yeah, that's a little bit of that. I think that at the end of the day, we find our greatest strength when we find what makes us love. What makes us feel the emotion of love. That's where we find our greatest strength, and that's the thing that will ensure that we will prevail every time. Um, Love always beats greed. It will always win. Um, that's my true belief. Yeah, but that's a little bit of my play. Yeah,
that is awesome. And that's a play based on hope. And no
yeah,
matter how many times you're knocked out, there's still hope.
yeah, yeah.
So, to all the listeners out there, there's still hope. You just
Always.
Yes.
getting back in the ring and find the
Yep,
why. Yep.
yep.
So I know we're really getting close to time, and I just wanted to add, well, Patrick, do you have any questions? Because anything that else that one final question that you'd like to ask Frankie before, he shares like his social media handles, how people can contact him, or any upcoming plays or anything that he has going on that he can mention. Do you have
No,
anything
I'm,
to
I'm
add?
I'm simmering. I'm still simmering on the monologue right now. It's it's got a front row seat right now in my brain. It's just like, yeah, it's for the struggles that we all go through. I mean, people resonate with that, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a winner.
It
Thank
is
you.
a winner. And I know you shared something beautiful and a piece of your work, and it's not because he's my son, but his work is like this. All of his work, his pieces are so impactful that you feel it. It's like a punch in the stomach, like, or I can relate to that, and it's beautiful. I did want to ask you, Franky, as we wrap it up and everything, what message would you like to send our listeners to carry with them, in addition to what you just recently shared with your reading piece?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah. Just the sun never sets on your dreams. Don't let it. The sun doesn't set on it until you let it happen. All right. Um, it's so short. Life is so brief, and it passes by so quickly. Um, why spend it in fear? Spend it living the life that you want to live and be the person that you want to be. I know there's obligations. I know there's responsibilities. I know there's things that you have to do in order to just survive in this life, and there's others that you're responsible for. But that doesn't mean that you have to give up on every single thing. You can't have everything, but it doesn't mean you have to give up everything either, just because you have responsibilities. You can do an extraordinary thing with the life that you've been given. And so why not do it? Why not? It's all so quick. It really is. Live your life. Don't be afraid of those other people. Don't be afraid of what they're trying to do. Um, they can only hurt you as much as you allow them to. Um, you will overcome everything. You did not get this far to just get this far.
Mm.
Sun never sets on your dreams. It doesn't.
wow, thank you so much for those powerful words, and thank you for being on here today. We always love having you as a guest on here. Thank you, and so for those that follow us on our social media handles, Patrick, it, please lead us with all where our social media handles, and I'll add in
Yeah.
a few that I added more too.
So yeah, we're on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, anywhere you're getting your podcasts or listening to your favorite shows, we'll be there. Life and in between. Some of them will be Life and in between podcasts because there's some other people with the same names out there, but we're the best. We're the cream de la creme. And so definitely jump in, tell your friends about us. And I'd also say if y'all have any stories you would like to hear, let us know. Shoot us a message. If you go to our website, lifeandinbetweenpodcast.com, let us know. We want to know where you're vibing, who to bring back, bring Frankie back for a third time. We want to keep this conversation going. And as we venture out into life, remember that's what it is. It's that we're telling stories, becoming part of other people's stories, and let's make it a good story. That's
Yes,
what we want.
yes, let's make it a good story. And also, we're on iHeartRadio and Amazon Music, so that's been
Yeah,
recently added.
you got it
Woohoo! Okay.
all. Dana's working. Dana's
The
getting
takeover continues.
All right, but thank you very much, audience.
Peace.